Be patient. Now we're back on. So, what I was saying, I wanted to get to the autopsies, and maybe that doesn't make people happy that I'm talking about the autopsies, because the autopsies then, what we received in our intelligence was that they were related to Dr. Mario A. Rascon Ortiz. And um, we would like to hear from him, right? And why haven't we? And, you would think that this case is so important to that area because Richard is an active U.S. Army soldier. And now with the new video information, um, it absolutely shows him to be retaliated against, that there's foul play, absolutely foul play, and that he was a whistleblower. So we're revisiting, trying to get the answers for the three autopsy reports that our intelligence um, gave us. And so I think that that is really important. Those come with numbers, they come with information. It is the CID, of course, it's El Paso, and of course, it is Chihuahua, Mexico, which is Juarez, Mexico, and because Juarez is in the state of Chihuahua. So let me make sure I'm back on. Seems like it. Yes, okay. So, and this is important because the Chihuahua autopsy report also had Ortiz's name on it. And that is, wowzer, how can that be? Well, I'm telling you right now, he went to school in Mexico. He is not even a he is not even a U.S. citizen. Now, uh, I'm from a family of immigrants. Okay, that is my family. My mother was born in Germany. She became an American citizen at White Sands Missile Range in New Mexico in 1965. I am from a family of immigrants. This is not any kind of um, misunderstanding here about immigrants. This is about a chief medical examiner, forensics, went to school in Mexico. His forensics seems very, very weak. Okay? That his experience forensically seems very, very weak. Now, the chief medical examiner of El Paso makes almost $500,000 a year. It's a very high paying job. And how did he, not being an American citizen, get that job? How did he get that job? And why is it? Does he go back and forth? When we were there, we could walk over the bridge. You could go over to Mexico very easily. It's one big city, Juarez, Mexico, and El Paso. It's like uh, Siamese sister cities. And so, could Mario Rascon Ortiz practice in Mexico as well as practice in the United States? Well, we know purchase funeral homes practices in Juarez, Mexico, and then also in the United States. So I would say that this is a high possibility because, of course, he can. So we would like to get answers on these autopsy reports. So we're revisiting them now that we have Richard's whistleblower status clarified and solidified because he was so beautiful, so uh, respectful and so with it uh, on that day, January 25th of 2020. And why does that matter? That's because that traffic stop in a parking lot by a canine cop is their basis for all the retaliation that, the excuse, oh, you know, he got stopped. Okay, whatever. They have nothing now. And that is no excuse now for the severe and continuous retaliation, assault that they levied on Richard. And clearly, we need to revisit these autopsy reports now. And hopefully, we can get some answers since we have more hard evidence that we can present to them for reasons. You have to work so hard to get justice, work very, very hard. And why is that? Well, I found out a long time ago, uh, studying law, that many people don't want justice because then they would have to pay for their crimes, and or their children have to pay for their spouses have to pay for their crimes, and or their neighbor has to pay for their crimes, and they don't like to see that. They don't want to see the people that they know, that they care about, have to pay for their crimes. And that's why all of these law enforcement, like Jesus Eddie Nieto and his wife, because he's supervisory director for the FBI there in El Paso, and then his wife, Cynthia Hernandez Nieto, in intelligence at Fort Bliss, and then Marlon, Dirty Agent Marlon Soto Hernandez, there at the CID. And it goes on and on. These connections, these conflicts of interest in the law enforcement community. It's one big family, y'all. It seems like it. There's so many conflicts of interest. And when you have conflicts of interest, it makes it very, very difficult with human nature not wanting to see justice, crimes having to be paid for by family members or neighbors or whatever. And so when you're from that area and you know a lot of people and you know your neighbors and you know your family members right there, and you are the supervisory director for the FBI, you are intelligence right there on Fort Bliss, you are the CID, you're the chief of the CID office there at Fort Bliss. You see, there's so many conflicts of interest that you just have one roadblock after the next in this law enforcement community when it comes to getting justice. The normal game played is the obstruction of justice, right? Because these people are up to no good, and it makes you wonder if that's even why they're in those positions to begin with, to cover up for the bigger criminal network that they, profit from. So, wow, it still hasn't been found. I'm so sorry. No, exactly. He hasn't been found. Thank you for coming on, Christina. And we know that he has been murdered. We know because of the absolute, this is going on almost 4 years, the piles and piles of evidence. And that evidence is hard evidence, circumstantial evidence, and also irregularities. And and Christina, you might not know this, but Richard's case is connected to the 2019, August 3rd, 2019 Walmart mass shooting case, um, which was orchestrated absolutely orchestrated by a group of from a criminal network to for many different reasons, um, but it was absolutely to divert attention from what Richard was reporting on, that they, because we received information, very good information from Brigadier General Stewart, from Dirty Agent Marlon Soto, CID agent, from Sean Bernabe, 3-star General Sean Bernabe, that there was an audit going on Fort Bliss. And our information is that Richard was the whistleblower, and they had to divert the attention from the audit, the weapons smuggling, the child sex trafficking, the human trafficking, the narcotics trafficking, the other criminal activity, to hide the monies for all of this. And of course, we know that Leilani Hart was getting her mail at Dreams Cabaret, which is a hub of criminal activity to launder money. And this is not us saying it. It's in the news. It's in the news that they were, you know, uh, conducting criminal activity there, even at Jags. Jags is closed up. Jags is closed up. That came out in the news today. Someone, Team Fine Richard Halliday, thank you so much, sent that to me. So Dreams Cabaret, we know that they were up to no good because that was in the news. Um, and Leilani Hart, which is Richard's platoon leader's mother, was getting her mail there. So this is a big criminal network uh, enterprise, and it includes the people that orchestrated the Walmart mass shooting. So the whole narrative, um, with it being a white supremacist, is all fabricated. We know that through Judge Warmara and his assessment of Patrick Crucius. Um, we know, there's just, it's all coming together that Richard was a whistleblower, and Fort Bliss was in big trouble as far as breaking apart and exposing the criminal network there. And they created the Walmart mass shooting, and they had to look at Glendon Oakley Jr. It's no accident that he was found in his barracks room on Fort Bliss, deceased on April 8th, 2020. That just couple months before Richard went missing. And they had to shut up the witnesses. They had to discredit the witnesses. They had to divert attention, and they had to obstruct justice. And so this is clearly what we have exposed and uncovered in these years. And now we're getting some traction. And so we need your help to drive that traction, because they won't do it on their own. So please share, please comment, please like. This is not monetized at all. This is just for the love of our son, for the love of our country, for the love of our military, our volunteer sons and daughters. And they need to know that with leaders like what we have, who needs enemies? Because they have betrayed our volunteer sons and daughters. They have betrayed our country, and they're not getting us justice, and they're not giving us our sons' remains. So that is very, very important information. And also revisiting the autopsy reports, revisiting Dr. Mario Raskin Ortiz. That's not even an American citizen. And why does that matter? Because for that almost $500,000 that he gets a year for a paycheck, he also gets power. He gets access to very personal information of any deceased person and their family members. And he also, so he has a lot of information there, and information is power. And he also has a status like a judge. he can issue, because he's investigating the death of the deceased person that he has, and so he can issue warrants and subpoenas. And so I think in the state of Texas, so I think it's very, very important for people to understand what an important role this is. And someone that is not an American citizen, are you telling me that there is not a doctor out there that doesn't want a job for $500,000, that is an American citizen? You know, and how did that all happen? How did his hiring happen? Who applied for the job? You know, because his forensics is not very strong, y'all. It's not good. And so, how did he get that job? So this is, and is that explaining why they're not answering um, our request for information about the autopsy reports? So thank you so much. God bless you, and thank you for coming on so late. But it couldn't be helped because uh, we do a lot of our letter writing at night, so it doesn't disrupt our family life so much. And right now it is, um, there's a lot going on, a lot to answer, and a lot to think about, and a lot of research. So thank you so much. And if you want to help, you can help by sharing, by talking about this, by liking, and by commenting. Thank you. God bless you. And I will be back tomorrow, God willing.